I bet you have.
There's a lot of, I've enjoyed it.
When this was live,
You
You got half an hour.
That's
Copy of that when you get it done, because my mom doesn't think I'm ever gonna get anything. Get arrested. Really, Mom, I actually retired. I was in I retired.
you ready? All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting order for the Angola Board of Public Works and Safety, Monday, January 6th. We have a roll call, please.
Member Martin,
I'm here.
Member Olson.
Here.
Member McDermott.
here.
Request approval of the December 16 minutes. They are attached.
Move to approve the minutes. Second.
Motion second, a discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Order of business discussion regarding utility connection permit fees in conjunction with the Pokagon Utility Extension Project. As the Board of Works knows, we're getting ready to extend water and sewer both to the Pokagon State Park. Partnering with the state, we will be doing a bid letting, I believe, next week. Is that right? Fairly complex one. And next month, I'm sorry.
Bid opening will be February 10th.
And there'll be a special meeting for those bid openings, and in the council meeting, I'll ask Amanda to explain the bid process. It's a little bit more complex than what we typically do. But what we'd like to talk to you about tonight is connection fees for anybody along those lines, water and sewer both, or water or sewer at your discretion. As you know, water sales, I'm sure you know, water sales year over year, dollar wise has been holding fairly consistent. But gallon wise, it gets smaller and smaller every year as people conserve water, go to low flow toilets and low flow shower heads and so forth. Water total gallon sales goes down, which does impact negatively our financial statements. It is in our best interest financially to sell more water. And in conjunction with this project, encourage people to hook onto our water system, primarily the water system, because our largest share of our cost is fixed. So the more gallons we sell, the cheaper it is per gallon for that fixed cost. So our overall cost actually decreases from more sales. So the idea is to actually increase our water sales from a financial point of view, and also from water quality point of view. Mr. Salmon will be the first to admit that we need to turn over the water in those lines as quickly as we possibly can. Water, believe it or not, does have a shelf life in those lines. So the more people we have using the water in that line, the better the water quality will be by the time it gets to the state park. So the discussion we'd like to have this evening is the Board of Works feeling on waiving connection fees for a fixed period of time once those services are available along the corridor going out to the state park. And in my opinion, and it's up to the board, if we're going to do water, we might as well do wastewater also, provide them with a incentive to hook it fairly quickly by waiving those fees. So that's the kind of conversation that we would like to have with you this evening. Amanda or Tom, would you like to provide any more detail, any more facts before the board starts to have these discussions?
Sure. So from a money standpoint, so you guys know what goes in with it, for a residential home to connect into sanitary sewer, the permit fee, which is what we're discussing, is just under $1,100. And the water connection fee is just over $1,100. So we might as well say $1,100. It gets progressively more expensive if it is a hotel or a bigger business, something that takes a bigger line, but that's the starting point of what you would be looking at. From a timing aspect, the project's looking to start construction around May of this year. And it's a pretty much a year-long construction project. So as part of this project, the only new customer will be Pokagon at 2 of their facilities. And so we're looking at providing something to residents, to landowners, after this construction is done. So at a starting point of the construction is complete for a period of time. Other communities have done similar, and they have used 3 years as just a time. I think internally we feel like there needs to be an end time to this, so it's not a forever tracking situation. So that's really kind of what we're looking at. We don't have a good idea of number of connections. There's some large acreage of undeveloped land that is going to become probably pretty valuable. So, that kind of makes it a little bit harder to guess. Definitely more water users than sewer users. There's portions of the route that are already served by the waste district that already have sewer beyond just a septic system. So we wouldn't be utilizing those customers. So this would be people that are on wells and septics or undeveloped land.
Do they have a choice as to whether they hook up? I'm sure, but
To us,
yes.
yes. So
They would have the option. It's nothing's going to be mandated to anybody, right?
correct. Our administration and Mayor Martin has expressed this, that we wouldn't do a forced connect. So in all likelihood, the health department regulates wells and septics. So if I lived along this route and my septic went bad and I went to the health department and said, I want a new septic, it would be likely that the health department would say, well, you need to connect to Angolas sewer or Angolas water
Yeah,
from just a,
because septics do wear out.
yes.
From a water quality standpoint, we're already treating and pumping the water a mile to the point of where they're going to connect. So we have not a lot of huge users at that point. Now we're going to extend it another 3 miles, which the volume of that main is like 80,000 gallons of water that just sits in that pipe until used. The park is a decent sized user, but more of a 25, 30,000 gallons a day. And the water we treat, we like to see be used by 2 days. So everybody we get hooked on is going to help carry the disinfectant, and the quality would be a lot better. So it's not only revenue, it's just for health better to keep it. And we're not going to have to constantly flush or maintain things to keep that quality the same as the person next to the treatment plant as somebody camping at Pokagon. It should all be the same quality.
Now, we're responsible for quality up to the property line. Is that
Correct. We'll have a meter and backflow prevention, and everything's still in our right of way. And then the park will take it from there. I believe they have some secondary disinfectant they're going to monitor and check there. So our responsibility stops there, but we're also going to have probably some homes in that area that want to tie up, and every bit we can get is going to help us in the long run.
Last year, your average gallons sold was what, 850,000?
If that, yeah, it's close.
Yeah, and the highest number we've ever seen was well over 1 million. A number of years back, I think I remember seeing 1.3 million.
In 1985, in the summer, we'd pump 1.2 million. Now we pump 900. So our town has grown tremendously in size as the volumes have just come down. The major manufacturing doesn't, they recycle. They don't, it's expensive. So they cool it and reuse it. They just don't dump it. So it's getting more expensive per gallon.
Yeah. And the biggest piece we have, the biggest part of cost is fixed. It doesn't change with the amount of gallons we pump. Very little of the cost is variable. There is some, obviously, energy cost and electricity. The more you have to pump, the higher that cost. But the largest piece we have is a fixed expense, not a variable expense. Variable expense is fairly small. You want to handle these, have this session individually, water, and then talk about sewer? You want to do both together?
I have a question. When we first brought this up, one of the questions I asked, I think Jason Meek was the person who was in the audience, about fire hydrants out in Potawatomi. Do we know how many they're going to put in?
At the inn,
Well, in the entire complex. Oh,
I can't answer for the entire complex, but we just talked about the inn today, and they're looking at 2, potentially 3 hydrants in the vicinity of.
of the Potawatomi.
Mhm.
And, but nowhere else in the,
No, they're all throughout, but we did not talk about the rest of,
Sure.
and our focus has always been on the portion that we'll own. But yes, they're putting within the park all new water lines, all new sewer lines, all new hydrants. I can get that number. if
well, I'm
you're
just thinking
interested
because that would also go into the water going out there.
in that.
Because if I guess my bet noir is fire protection right now. And if we got those people out there have access closer to a fire hydrant,
It's a good thing.
it's a good thing for everybody, especially for putting out that fire.
We've also took into effect that we have quite a bit of undeveloped land that we're running this 12-inch main by. And normally in that type of zone, you'd be every 500 feet would be a fire hydrant. Our ratepayers now pay rent to our utility for those hydrants. We have basically skipped every other hydrant. We're installing valves and keys and are ready for them, but every other hydrant or so will be omitted until the development is made. Try to help not pay, the ratepayers pay for hydrants that are really not in places now. Places that are already developed, like the Ramada, some of the other manufactured businesses, Ramada will have 3 or so right in front of it. Places that are, need fire protection as soon as they can get it.
I don't have any problem. I don't have any problems looking at both of them together. I mean,
I have no problem with that either.
Well, let's,
Makes sense if we do one, we should do both.
well, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. You want to talk about possible stubbing out? If somebody wants to put a stub in but doesn't want to build out, you want to have that conversation now, or you want to bring that back to the?
We can have that conversation. So what we've talked internally, what we would like to avoid is if I'm a homeowner along this route and I say, yeah, I'll pay, I'll pull a permit, or I'll say I'm going to do this. And all I do is install the tap off the main, but I don't build a house. I don't connect the water line to my house. I'm not really a user, but I just got an $1,100 discount. We would like in the writing of this, that they need to pull the permit and connect in and be a water or sewer user. They're paying a monthly bill on that instead of just stubbing it because they get a discount with no real timeline on when they're going to be a customer of ours.
in my head, I'm trying to think how many people really got that on their route. You really can't come up with an answer because
Not
they don't
really.
own that.
I think of the homes that are there, so the route, we're going down 127 North Wayne and then turning on 400 North.
Right.
And that's how we're entering into the park. So there's several homes along 400 North. I think those will be your water users that will connect in. But then beyond that, it's a lot of undeveloped land along North Wayne. So
So we'll have water a lot closer to the Lone Tree Point or some of
to
those.
Glen Eyre,
Glen Eyre.
yes.
Wasn't Glen Eyre even talking about connecting into,
Yes.
but we didn't want to go all the way down there. We wanted them to come to us, I think is,
Correct.
because they have there's a group well.
There's a group well with private system. They're on private roads. Everything's privatized out there.
So I think the position that Amanda's taken, I think it's very wise, is if you want to connect, you connect where your well is. We'll just delete your well, but your distribution system needs to remain in place, and we just do a group bill as opposed to billing each individual user. We don't want to
Yeah,
run all the way down there and get involved with all the private roads and everything else because their infrastructure is already there. I think that is Amanda's, and Tom, wasn't that your feeling also that we should do it that way?
Yeah, they can come to us.
Yeah, and for those people, I would agree that that's the way it should be. All right, so it's the consensus of the Board of Works that we do want to pursue and waive these. How long do you want to do it? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years?
You thought that the consensus usually was about 3 years.
Yeah, another community that did something similar, they did 3 years after the construction was complete. So we're looking at starting this in mid-2026.
We're not out anything if we say 3 years.
And-
I mean, we develop it.
and we could always, in 3 years after that,
Waive it for another 3
for another
years.
3 years, if need be.
Right.
I agree, yeah.
Sewer, you want to handle the same way? Is there upside, downsize the sewer? Mr. Gaff, you have any comments you'd like to add to the wastewater side?
No, I feel the same way. The more customers we get, the better.
Is it more likely that somebody's well's gonna give out or their septic system give out? I mean,
Go either.
you're my man on wastewater, so
I mean, I could go either way.
you think?
Just as much a well as a septic system.
What's our connection fee for somebody to a sewer?
$1,100 per house. Yeah, I mean, they're not identical, but
So it's 2,200 for.
if you want water and sewer.
$200.
Yeah, for the permits only.
They are responsible for the construction to our line. We
Sure.
don't handle that. We just waive the connection fee if they want to hook in.
But that would be also encouraging somebody to develop that area then too, because
That is, yeah,
because the Sheets property is a good example. It's near angle utilities, but it's not in angle utilities. Perhaps we get some development north of the city
There is a lot of vacant property.
and relatively flat in terms of houses. So,
Wastewater will be a little bit more complex because of the fact that the regional waste district is already serving that area. And there will be places where we will be running our lines in parallel to theirs. Amanda and I did go out and talk to them the other day. They aren't particularly happy with what we're doing out there, but that's not their choice. The state has asked us to do this.
I'm sorry, you said they weren't very happy.
They were not very happy about us being out in what they're considering their district. And then I did remind them that we have been in their district for a long time and we currently have operations in their district. We have people outside the city limits that we already serve with wastewater. We've got some on Bill Della Road. We've got some at Fox Lake. We've got some out at Glendarren. There's quite a few different places where we have wastewater service outside of the corporate limits of the city of Angola, which anything outside the corporate limits, they consider their territory. We don't necessarily.
ETJ.
Now, ETJ has more to do with zoning than it does with utilities. And we did tell them we would probably be putting some type of offer out there for users to connect without a fee into our system. They have to provide their own infrastructure. They have to do their own plumbing. They have to do the installation, pay for all that. And then obviously be our wastewater customer. But we would allow them to tap for so cost.
So they could be a customer for wastewater, but not for water.
You could have people that want to be water, not wastewater, or wastewater, not water.
I thought utility people are on top of that.
Yeah, you could be either way.
That's their choice. I think you did. 3 years.
3
3 years. All right.
So what do you want for us? Just
Well, we'll need to develop a policy and bring it
Yeah,
back
I'll
to you
draft
for your
something
formal
up
approval
To bring back.
Yeah, I'd say proceed.
before we put a lot of time and effort putting things on paper. Because we have to cover every possible scenario that we may run into, and we'll bring that back to the Board of Works for approval.
you said there was other communities that had something like this. Could you go and contact them and just see, were there any problems you had or anything? So we don't have to, trip over something they've already tripped over. And maybe they have something they wish they'd done differently.
Yeah, I will do that.
Thank you.
Anything else on this subject? Amanda, Tom? Yeah. When we get to the council meeting, I've asked Amanda to kind of give you a quick breakdown of how the dollars and cents of the bidding process will go. Like it's a little bit more complex than what we normally deal with, but we'll get onto that in the council meeting a little bit later. Department head reports. Brian, you have anything for us?
Nothing for me, Mayor.
Kim?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
No report. Yeah. Chief?
I do have a question for the Board of Works.
Sure.
Getting ready to go through and review and update our standard operating guidelines. And in the past, we've brought them to the Board of Works for review and approval because at that point in time, they become part of policy for us. They've been adopted. Can't tell you how many years ago, but I'm getting ready to go through, review, update as necessary and move them forward for implementation. Do I have to bring those back for approval after the changes are made or just roll them through? What I'm looking for.
If it was approved in the first place, which I believe it was,
Yes.
I would believe revisions would need to come back.
Okay. Fair enough.
Would
Thank
you
you.
agree with that, Kim?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else, chief?
No.
welcome to your first Board of Works.
Well, thank you.
From the chief
Been
position.
good. It's been busy. A lot of conversations the last 2 weeks, so we're good.
Thank you for taking over command of our fire department. I appreciate it. Mr. Gaff,
No report, sir.
Mr. Selman. Amanda, got anything for us?
Yes, just an update for the stormwater BMPs, Vestal Manufacturing Plant 3 signed their BMP, so just reporting.
Which we now have as boilerplate.
Yes, yes, doesn't have to get formal approval, but as we do these, I'll just notify the board.
Appreciate that. Anything else?
Yeah,
Chief?
I have nothing, sir.
Very good. That'll be it. The next meeting will be Monday, February 3rd. Thank you, and we'll see you all in 10 minutes.
We're actually,